Hello, everyone, and welcome to NFL Week 8 preview. Excited to go through the early line of games. The NFL week, or NFL season rather, is almost to its midway point. And now you hear the background sound. Appreciate all of you being up here. Let's get Bleece up here. Anyone else who wants to come join the conversation, feel free, just request, and I'll get you involved. Really excited about going through the NFL Week 8 slate of games. Bleece, how you doing this evening?
Hey, well, it's good, everybody. I'm good. Went all in on the New York teams this past weekend, and it paid off handsomely. So very happy with the New York teams. You know, good teams win, great teams cover, and I just felt like Vegas had them all wrong. So, I love it. I love the New York teams this year.
Mike, how you doing this evening?
I am fantastic.
How'd your NFL Sunday go?
Pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a grind, but I'm in the green, so
that's what matters. Matthew, how you doing tonight? How'd your NFL Week 7 go?
Doing well. A little out of breath. I'm on a run right now, but couldn't miss listening to the boys give the intel. Week was great. My only request is that for your best bets, you pin them Sunday whenever you put them out, because I was looking for them, and obviously tweet a lot on Sundays with so much good content. It was harder to find. Sorry for breathing so much at the phone, guys. Looking forward to the conversation.
Appreciate the note, and I will definitely make that adjustment. Make sure you get my best bets, because right now on our paper handicappers on Sunday morning, I'm hitting at 11-2 on best bets. So at this point, without hyping myself too much, I definitely want to get people out that information, because I've been putting in the research through the week. So definitely will do that. Appreciate you, Mike, and Matthew for joining us. Bleece for helping me go through our experience on Spatial. That's right. But Fumble Sports is doing sports on the metaverse or in the metaverse. We're really excited about what we're doing. Check it out on YouTube. I'll share with everyone who's both here and watching at home or listening at home. To get into this first slate of games, we're going to go to Thursday Night Football. The 4-3 Baltimore Ravens playing the 3-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm seeing the line set right now at 1.5 with the over-under at 45 points. Obviously, we'll get to Mike and where he's seeing it at other places. But a couple gambling notes. I always like to get these out right after we talk about the gambling lines. The road team is 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 meetings between the Ravens and Bucks. The Buccaneers are 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 Thursday games. The under is 5-1 in the last 6 meetings between the two teams, and the under is 6-1 in the Bucks' last 7 games. Mike, are you seeing any line movement about this game?
So it opened. I'm showing that it opened at 3, and now it's at 1.5, like you said. Anywhere from 1.5 to 2 across all the major books. Right now, 85% of the money is on Baltimore.
I know you're looking at the public,
and the line's going the wrong way. So we do have reverse line movement right out the gate.
And I know how you like to play against that. I know how you're looking at the public and playing against them.
Yeah, I mean, if you stay, what I found is specifically if you stay true to that in the long run, you're going to be in the green.
The Bucks offense
doesn't always work, but there's a reason Vegas has a lot of pretty lights on.
Which is 17.7. One of the things I take note from this game specifically is how poor the Bucks offense has been. The Bucks offense is scoring the exact same number of points which they're allowing, which is 17.7 per game. I think that's incredibly low. And given the short week, Brady hasn't had time to work through anything with
45,
receivers,
especially how
to work
Fumble
through
Sports
anything
likes
on
to play
offense
it,
with Byron
buying a point and a
Leftwich.
half for a little
So
bit of
to
extra
me, I
security.
expect
But
this to be on the
46 and a
lower
half
scoring end.
seems like a good
I don't
play
know if
on
I'm
the
going to play
under.
the over-under right
Ravens are
now.
going to run the ball.
I think
Bucks are going to
45,
have to stay
especially
balanced,
how
so
Butt
they're going
Fumble
to have to run
Sports
the
likes to
ball.
play it,
I think
buying
that's
the
going to eat
point and a
up
half for a
clock.
little bit
So
of
I
extra
like the under in
security.
this game.
But
But when
46
it
and a
comes to
half
a pick,
seems
I
like a
like
good play
Baltimore
on the
covering.
under.
A point and a half, I think,
Ravens
is
are going to
really,
run the
really
ball.
favorable.
Bucks are going to have to
I'm not
stay
buying any
balanced, so
points when
they're
it
going to
comes
have
to
to
that.
run the
I like the
ball.
cover at
I
1
think
and a
that's going
half.
to eat up
And one of
clock.
the
So
reasons
I
I
like
like
the
it
under in this
is
game.
Justin
But when
Tucker.
it comes
If
to a
this game
pick,
does
I
come
like
down to a
Baltimore
final
covering.
score,
A
I
point
have
and a
so
half, I
much
think, is
confidence on the
really
Ravens
favorable.
side being
I'm
able
not
to
buying
not
any
just get a
points when it
point
comes
when
to
they
that.
need
I
it,
like the
but
cover
maybe
at 1.5.
expand a lead by
And
a
one of the
field
reasons I
goal,
like it
even if
is
it's
Justin
far.
Tucker.
So I like
If
the
this
Ravens
game
to
does
cover the
come
point
down
and a
to a
half. I
final
like the
score,
under.
I have
That's
so
how
much
I'm playing it.
confidence on
Mike,
the
do you have
Ravens
any
side
feeling about the
being able
over-under?
to not just get a point when they need it, but maybe expand a lead by a field goal, even if it's far. So I like the Ravens to cover the point and a half. I like the under. That's how I'm playing it. Mike, do you have any feeling about the over-under?
I really align with you on that. Whenever the number is higher than I think it should be, it will give me like a little bit of pause. But this season, it just seems like every time we think it's supposed to be an under on a number, it goes under. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of this year just seems like you just don't overthink it. I'll sit out on this one. I will say, I think that with some of this reverse line movement that we're seeing,
Completely
and it
agree.
being
It's
under,
one of the reasons
like
why we
opening
have
at
this
3 and
space,
getting down to a point and a half, I
Tuesday
actually
nights, because
really
I
like
couldn't
this
agree
as
with you more.
a
The
early
moment
week,
I
like
saw
take
this
it now,
line, I saw it last
because I
night.
think that
I
this
was
number is going to
surprised
go
that
back up.
it was where it was. It's
Completely
moved even
agree.
further.
It's
I
one of
saw
the
it at
reasons
2
why
last
we
night.
have
It's
this
down to a point
space
and a half. I love
Tuesday
this in
nights
favor
because
of
I couldn't agree with you
Baltimore. I
more.
think there are
The
also a
moment
lot
I
of
saw this
reasons,
line, I
again,
saw it
we're
last
on a
night.
short week.
I was
The Ravens
surprised
were
that
at home,
it was
and
where
then
it
they
was.
travel.
It's
So
moved
it's
even
not like they're
further.
going
I saw it
back-to-back
at
road
2
games
last
on the
night. It's
Thursday
now at a
night.
point and a
The
half.
Bucks had
I
to
love this in
travel,
favor
so
of
they actually had
Baltimore.
less time
I think
to
there are also a
prepare.
lot of
You think of
reasons.
it that
Again,
way.
we're on
I
a
think
short
Brady's
week. The
just
Ravens were at
disconnected. I think
home,
there are a lot
and
of
then they
reasons to
travel.
like the
So it's
line
not
right
like they're
now.
going
And like
back-to-back
you,
road
I
games
think
on a
it's going to get
Thursday
pushed
night.
more in
The
favor
Bucks
of the
had to
Ravens
travel, so they
as we
actually
get
had
closer to
less time to
kickoff.
prepare.
If that
If you think
doesn't
of it that
change,
way, I
or
think
better
Brady's
yet,
just
if the
disconnected. I
Bucks
think
get
there are a
out
lot
to
of
an
reasons
early
to
start
like
in
the
this
line
game,
right
in
now.
the
And like
first
you,
5-10
I think
minutes,
it's
if
going to get
Brady
pushed
does
more
go
in
down the
favor
field
of
in
the
the first
Ravens
drive and
as
scores
we
a
get closer
touchdown,
to
I
kickoff.
may
If
easily
that
do some
doesn't
in-game
change,
betting in favor of
or
the
better
Ravens,
yet,
because
if the
over the
Bucks
course
get
of
out
this
to an
game,
early
I like
start
the
in this
Ravens
game, in the
offense way
first
more than I
5-10
like
minutes,
any
if
other
Brady
unit on the
does go
field,
down the field in
and
the
that's
first
where I'm going
drive
to lean.
and scores a
And because
touchdown,
they're
I
running the
may
ball,
easily do
the
some
under to
in-game
me is
betting
the
in
smart
favor of the
play.
Ravens.
Blease,
Because over
Alex,
the course of this
Matthew,
game,
Adam,
I like the
Lope,
Ravens
any other
offense
takes
way
on this
more
game?
than I like any other unit on the field. And that's where I'm going to lean. And because they're running the ball, the under to me is the smart play. Blease, Alex, Matthew, Adam, Lope, any other takes on this game?
I just wanted to say what's up to Alex and just point up to your poll that you have up here. Which do you think is more likely right now? I thought that was a good one of Belichick missing Brady or Brady missing Belichick. I thought that was funny. So to check that out, and anyone just in here hanging out, if you like the space, just retweet it. But I just wanted to throw it out there
The
too.
answer is no.
Brady's playing
I don't
3D
think
chess
anyone
here.
in
Like,
sports is
do
playing
you think
3D chess.
they're
I think
holding
that's one of
back
the
the
more
playbook a bit for this
cliche
longer
ways of thinking
season?
of it.
Just doing
And
enough.
not a knock
Like
on you.
they're
It's more.
hosting a
I actually
playoff
don't
game
think
right
anyone
now.
in the
The,
NFL
the answer
is
the
really
answer
that
is
much
no.
smarter than
I
anyone
don't think
else. I
anyone
think that
in
this
sports is
game
playing 3D
requires so much
chess. I think that's one of the more
and good fortune. The
cliche
ball
ways of thinking
bounces,
of it.
tip
And
passes
not
go
a
the
knock
way
on
that
you.
they
It's more.
do.
I actually don't think
anyone's
anyone in
doing
the
anything to
NFL
set
is
anything
really
up.
that much
I don't
smarter
think
than
there are as
anyone
many
else. I think
long-term
that this
plays as we
game
think there are.
requires so much
This is a very
preparation
week-to-week
and
league,
good
and I think
fortune.
right
The
now
ball
Tom
bounces,
Brady
tip
is
passes
really
go
a
the way
week
that they
behind
do.
on his
I don't think
homework. Like,
anyone's
he
doing
hasn't
anything to
prepared with
set
his
anything
team
up.
as
I
much
don't
as he
think there are
usually
as many
does.
long-term
He
plays
didn't
as
in
we
the
think there are.
preseason. He
This is a
hasn't
very
early in
week-to-week
the
league,
season.
and I think
in the
right
last
now
couple of
Tom
weeks,
Brady
he's lost a few days
is really a week
because of
behind on
weddings
his
or
homework.
divorces
Like
or
he
whatever
hasn't prepared with
else is
his
going
team
on.
as
So
much
I
as he
actually think
usually
this is far
does.
more simple than
He
we
didn't
think.
in the
I think the
preseason.
Bucks are
He
just
hasn't
fortunate they
early in
play
the season.
in a terrible
And the last
division.
couple of
If
weeks,
there
he's
is
lost
any
a few days
quote-unquote
because of
three-peat chess that
weddings
is
or
going on,
divorces or
it happened a
whatever
couple
else
years
is
ago
going on.
when
So
Tom
I
Brady
actually think
said,
this is
"I'm going
far
to go
more
to
simple
the
than we
Tampa Bay
think. I think the
Buccaneers
Bucks are
because
just
the
fortunate
Panthers
they
are going to be
play
bad, the
in a
Falcons will be
terrible
bad,
division.
and the
If
Saints
there
will be
is any
feeble,
quote
and
unquote 3D chess that is going on. It happened a couple years ago when Tom Brady said, I'm going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the Panthers are going to be bad, the Falcons will be bad, and the Saints will be beatable. And therefore, I'm going to go to a division where, unlike, or rather, like the AFC East for 20 years, I'll be able to play decent football and get into the playoffs, and then we'll play our best football and contend for a championship. But on a week-to-week basis, I don't think there's a lot of 3D chess going on. I do want to move on to our next game and keep the line going for NFL Sunday, Week 8. We're going to go to London Sunday morning at 9:30 on ESPN. The 2-5 Denver Broncos play the 2-5 Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm seeing the line at -3 in favor of Jacksonville. Over/under set at 39 points. Going to give some gambling notes before we go to Mike on line movement. The Broncos are 3-8 against the spread in their last 11 games overall. The Broncos are also 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 meetings against Jacksonville. The Jaguars are 1-6 against the spread versus a team with a losing record. And the under is 4-0 in the Broncos' last 4 games following against the spread loss. Mike, have you seen any line movement on this game?
There's no line movement. I'm still seeing the same line, and it's the same exact number. I'm seeing 2.5, and that's where it opened at every single major book. You have 70% or 62% of bets are on Jacksonville on the spread. 70% of the money's on Denver. So, it is weighted towards Denver as far as the money percentage, and there hasn't been any line movement. So that's something to pay attention to. You would think maybe you'd get a kick either way, but, that does tell me that, that the number should move down to 2, I would think, like in my mind. I think just looking at this, that makes me think that Jacksonville kind of is where Vegas is leaning right now. It's one to monitor, though. Just at first glance, I definitely see this as a Jacksonville, especially at 2.5, where you got the hook there. Like, I do like Jacksonville, just at first glance here. And I think that this, based off of the where the money's going right now, I do think this has a chance of going down a little bit. So you may even be able to get a better number on Jacksonville.
I hope you're right, because I like Jacksonville on the money line in this game, and I really want to be able to take them on a cover play if it gets more favorable for me. I think this is a game in which we see Doug Peterson emerge as a better coach than Jacksonville's had in the last few years, because this is a game they should win. Denver is hobbled. I'm assuming it's the backup quarterback, unless, Mr. Wolverine, Russell Wilson, is back on the field. But either way, I think this is a game where Jacksonville, in their losses, has been close. They've been competitive. This is a win they need. Supposedly Jacksonville is the quote-unquote home team in London. They're used to this kind of travel. Trevor Lawrence has done this before. If Doug Peterson is a superior coach and is going to bring this team anywhere, this is a game they need to win. And I do like the defenses in this game. I think Travis Etienne is a great player prop. It's clear now that they've moved on from James Robinson that he's going to be the all-purpose back, all 3 downs. I could see Travis Etienne just collecting a lot of yards, shouting out Bet3, who's a member of our paper handicappers on Sunday and loves the player props. But that said, I definitely think this is a game Jacksonville's going to win, but I'm not crazy about -3 right now. Where I'm seeing it, you're saying it's -2. I like that more. Obviously, I'm with you. I think this line's going to move a little bit. I think some people are going to take Denver to cover, which is going to help me over the course of the week. But once I see it kind of go into that 1.5 slot, that's where I like it, because I see this being a 2-point win for Jacksonville, maybe 3 points, but I don't necessarily see it being 4 points. We saw last week a lot of backup quarterbacks had kind of career days in the NFL, and I expect that to continue. This is a throw it around league now, and I think the backups have a lot of fun when they get on the field when you're not Bailey Zappi. That said, Blease, Alex, Mike, Matthew, any other takes on this game before we move on?
I think something really quickly. Jacksonville essentially will be the home team in London. Jacksonville is kind of London's team. They were a part of like the very first London games, and they've continuously and consistently been out there. London is a Jacksonville team, so it's going to feel like a home game for them in that stadium. Also, I want to point out here on the total. So I'm seeing it open at 40 and it's at 39 or 39 and a half. 99% of the money is on the under. It moved down 1 point. It's gonna go up, right? It's not gonna stay at that number. That's something I definitely would pay attention to, though, moving into the weekend. That's an interesting, very, very interesting movement and percentage of money that's on that one side.
That's a great note, Mike. It goes against the gambling, or it matches the gambling trends and what people are doing. It doesn't work in your favor. A lot of the trends suggest the under for both of these teams. So obviously the public is attuned to it. Following that, that's great line movement. I am going to move on to the 1 p.m. slate of games. The first one, Carolina Panthers, 2-5, going to Atlanta to play the 3-4 Falcons, who are actually tied with the Bucs. I know they're behind in the game advantage, but they're tied in terms of record with the Bucs for the NFC South. The Falcons, as I see the line, is 4.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 42 points. Gambling trends, the Panthers are 2-7 against the spread in the last 9 meetings with the Falcons. The Falcons are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games overall. That stretch of games they had against the spread finally came to an end last week against the Bengals. One of the things Fumble Sports did get wrong last Sunday. Road team is 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 meetings between the Panthers and Falcons, and the under is 13-4-1 in the last 18 meetings between the two teams. Mike, have you seen any line movement on this game?
Yeah, it opened at 6.5. I'm seeing it at 4.5 up to, there's one book that has it at 5.5, but 4.5 or 5. 75% of the money is on Atlanta. That number should have moved the other direction. That looks like bait to me. So I mean, right off the bat, I'm definitely thinking that Vegas wants people to take Atlanta here for whatever reason. That doesn't make sense to me. I think, I don't know what Carolina's got going on right now. So that's something to pay attention to. You may actually be able to get, this might be another place to take Atlanta here early in the week at 4.5. That number should go back up.
Couldn't agree more. This is why we bet on Tuesdays. I love where this line is right now, because when I pull a Fumble Sports and I buy my 1.5, I get Atlanta at -3. But what do I also like? I really like that line to move over the course of the week, go up against Carolina. I buy a 1.5 and I can maybe get them by a touchdown, maybe 7.5 once I've bought points. So I could be both on Atlanta wins by a field goal, but the Panthers cover a touchdown. I love playing both sides of it that way because I see this being a 7-point game. I think that the Panthers are riding, I don't want to call it a high of last week. I actually think they're in a different place. Everyone on that Panthers team is now playing for a job. They are putting together tape to define whether they're going to still be football players in 12 months. And so that, you saw it last week. The effort is there. They don't have any stars. They don't have a lot of raw talent, but the enthusiasm and the dedication and the commitment is there. And the Falcons aren't that talented or that good where I expect this to be a blowout. So I think this is going to be a more competitive game than people think. I certainly think the Falcons win. If you just want to play money line, I do like the Falcons in this game. That said, I like the Panthers covering this, and the trends kind of back that up. where the Panthers usually are bad against the spread, but the road team is usually better. And I think that there's a way to play this game where you can hedge it both sides and get it. As for the over-under, I'm not crazy about it right now. 42 points, I really don't get a feel for this game. I expect the Panthers are going to run. I expect the Falcons are going to run. But this is also a game in which you could have a couple 40-plus yard dashes to the end zone because the defenses just give it up in the secondary. So don't really love the over-under play. Mike, what's your pick for this game?
I think this is I really like buying the points, getting it down, and then taking Carolina at like 7 later in the week like that. But also like just to like, give people like a way of thinking about like making bets like this where we have a pretty good feel of which way the line's going to move. If the line, like when you have reverse line movement like this early in the week, you take a side. For me, if that line doesn't go back up, like if this, for instance, if this line doesn't go back up to where we think it is and it stays here and money stays in that place, I'm going to be tempted to take Carolina. Even though it's not what I think is going to happen, like just purely based off of numbers, right? Forget who's playing. And that's what I would do a lot when I was like really heavy into betting. Like I would literally blank out teams and just look at numbers and make bets based off of that, because then you remove like kind of the emotional part of it. And NFL is week to week. These books know shit. Like they don't put these numbers out here to lose. They put them out here to win.
To that very point, Mike, you're playing a bit more of Vegas's game. Yeah. I've had the good fortune of working in sports media and talking to some of the guys who do this for a living, who work at sports books, set lines, do the analysis for a number of these companies. And what you hear is they're quants. They're guys who went to Ivy League schools, who, to your point, they study numbers. And we as fans get very reactionary. It's one of the reasons why Vegas made so much money last week on guys like me on Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, because of course they're going to win, right? Well, by the pure numbers, the Bucs offense has been terrible. Why, the numbers suggest that that's going to continue to happen. Why was 10 points, 11 points the spread? Because Vegas knew Panthers were going to be more competitive by the numbers, by the storylines, and by some of the variables that we start to connect it to. It's Tom Brady, it's the Buccaneers. That really doesn't matter. It's the analytics behind it. And so that's one of the reasons we talk about these bets Tuesday versus Sunday. Where are the advantages against Vegas? You are playing against the house. So Mike's line movement is one area. I like to bet on certain days. There are certain pieces of information that I find valuable. I like gambling trends. I like looking towards the past because there are certain things you can see about how things can play out. But where are the advantages against Vegas? It's why we're doing this show. We're moving on to the next game in the 1 p.m. slot. The Miami Dolphins, 4-3, travel up to the Detroit Lions, who are 1-5. Shout out to Lope, fan of the Miami Dolphins. Thank you for joining us, Lope. Thank you all for joining us in this space. The line for this game, I'm seeing Miami is a 3-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 51 points where I see it. Some gambling trends before we get to line movement. The favorite is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings between the Dolphins and Lions. The Dolphins are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. Lions are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 home games. And the under is 6-2 in the Dolphins' last 8 road games. Mike, are you seeing any line movement on Dolphins Lions?
So I got it opening at 3 and sitting at 3.5. Money is weighted towards Miami, so that's pretty. That looks right. The number does seem low. I don't like 3.5 on the road for Miami. I think it's pretty safe to say that we like a Miami money line. But as far as 3.5, this one's a wait and see. For me, this is a wait and see where the money starts going, how the line starts moving. I kind of don't really like this game. This game's kind of weird to me. It just, I don't know. I feel like one of these weeks Detroit's just going to show up and just whack somebody that they shouldn't be.
I totally get where you're coming from. This feels like a trap game to me too.
Yeah.
Like next week, my question is St. Brown playing? He came out of last week with they're getting Swift back. You get St. Brown back. They're back at home. I think there's some of the magic we saw in the first few weeks when they were a cover darling, those first 3-4 weeks of the season. So I'm with you. This to me is a bit of a trap game. That said, I do like certain plays in this game. Shout out to our friend Bet3. I love Aiden Hutchinson over half a sack in this game. He was a monster last week, and I absolutely see him getting pressure on Tua this week. The question is, will there be a roughing the passer flag that takes the sack away? But that's a separate story. As for the game itself, I'm with you. I like Miami on the money line, but I really want to take Detroit to cover. And I'm hoping the public pushes this a little bit to help me get there. I probably will take Detroit at plus 4.5, tonight or tomorrow morning, because that's what Fumble Sports does. However, I really want to see that line movement shift it more in Miami's favor, more away from Detroit. I don't know if I'm going to get that, but if I can get this up to 6 points, if over the course of the next couple days, I can get Detroit at plus 6 after I bought the 1.5, I will feel very good, because I think this is going to be a much more competitive game. To Mike's point, I really could see Detroit actually winning this game outright, but I'm not there yet. I still believe when Tua is on the field, Miami is the superior team, but I think this is going to be closer than people think. Detroit just ran into a buzzsaw of a defense last weekend, so they're still a good offense. They're just not a good defense. I think that just means points. Whether we see 51 points, that seems a little high to me. I really am not crazy about that, so I probably won't touch the over-under. That said, to another player prop that I love, Jared Goff cashed me a ticket last weekend. He's going to do it for me again this weekend. When you pick Jared Goff to throw an interception, it's money in the bank. So I'll probably do that again. I know Miami doesn't have a ton of turnover or takeaways this season, but I'm still probably going to take that overplay on Jared Goff. You'll have to tune in on Sunday to see our prop bets. But that said, Mike, what's your pick for this game?
I'm gonna sit and wait. I really just, I don't know. I'm like really on the fence on this one. I'm being pulled in different directions. So I think right now at at 3.5, I like Detroit because I get a hook, right, without buying any points or anything. I will say, just to be like quick about it, over under opened at 50.5, up to 51.5, 85% on the over. So that's pretty normal. It is a big number. I also like it. I like the over in this game. Just at first glance here, knowing these two teams, these two defenses in the dome. Yeah.
And if you like it on a Tuesday, you got to feel like that's going to be pushed even higher.
Yeah.
Put a unit and a half, 2 units on it. By the way, when we talk about bets, one of the things I want to bring up just real quick about sports betting, think in units. Units should reflect your confidence level. I like to do it on, 1, 2, 3. If I'm feeling really confident about a game, I'll put 3 units on it. If I feel less confident about it, I'll put 1 unit on it. All your bets don't have to be the same. It's one of the ways you can balance out your wins and your losses, try to get to the green and stay out of a red. But that said, be smart about your bets. If you don't feel as confident about it, put it also, maybe parlay it with something that you're more confident about, or just do it on its own, put a smaller unit on it, play, have fun with it. But don't take risks on bet that you don't feel really confident in. Mike just did a great thing. He doesn't like a game. Great. Stay away from it. No one's forcing you to take a bet you don't want to take. Bet games you feel confident about, and then bet them at a unit level that you feel good about, whether it's confidence or lower confidence. Match that, because you want your bets to be smart and sophisticated. You don't just want to be throwing money at Vegas. Don't worry. Vegas will take it.
Yeah. And also, like, whenever, like, just to kind of zoom out a little bit, like whenever you're like collecting like alpha on sports betting like this, like realize that you're here to gather nuggets of information that will help you make a decision, right? You're not just, don't blindly tail bets. Like if you have confidence in him or me or whatever, like just take nuggets and see if they align with you, and that'll give you some better like idea of where you want to hit things. Also, as far as units go, your units, like just to structure it, your units should be anywhere from 5% on the safe time side to like 15% if you're a Chad. Like it really just depends on what your risk tolerance is and that kind of stuff. But just think about it like that.
And to Mike's point, think of Butt Fumble Sports. Think of Mike. We're like a caddy. You still have to take the swing yourself. You got to be smart. You got to do what's in your best interest. We're just trying to give you information about the wind, about which club to play, how to think about where you want to land the ball. But that's how you really should think about us. If you don't feel confident about something, don't bet it. If you don't want to follow us or trail us, I totally understand. We're just trying to supply you with information to make smart plays. Moving on to the next game in this Sunday slate, the 3-4 Chicago Bears. Surprisingly, the 3-4 Chicago Bears play the 5-2 Dallas Cowboys on Fox. Dallas, a 10-point favorite right now where I see it. The over-under set at 42.5 points. A few gambling trends before we go to line movement. The Bears are 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 road games. The Cowboys are 11-1 against the spread versus a team with a losing record. The over is 7-0 in the last 7 meetings between the Bears and Cowboys. The under is 4-1 in the Bears' last 5 games versus the NFC. And the under is 6-0 in the Cowboys' last 6 home games. Mike, what line movement are you seeing for Bears and Cowboys?
I see open at 10, sitting at anywhere from 9 to 9.5, basically. Money's pretty split, like just a little bit more on Chicago. It moved down a half point, so there's nothing too out of place there. This is an interesting one, especially with that trend you just gave out on the 7-0 on the overs. These are two pretty decent defenses. It is in the Dome. It's in Dallas. That's something to take into account. I don't really have a ton of confidence in Dallas's offense, really. And even though Chicago, they played well yesterday, I don't really know that I feel that great about their offense either. So I kind of like the under a little bit. As far as this number, especially if it's at 9.5, like I don't know. It just feels like Dallas is either gonna win by like 30 or something stupid, or Chicago is gonna win outright. Like, it's just weird. These big spread games are weird. I really like to stay away from them. I think if you can, buy some points either way, that can kind of give you a little bit more clarity if you like one side or the other. But I'm not particularly fond of that spread. 43 and a half open at 42.5. Money's a little bit more on the over. So that did go down a little bit. It's something to pay attention to. It should have gone up a little bit, if anything. But there's nothing we're not going to read into that too much right now. 42.5 though, I like the under.
So what's interesting about this game for me is America just saw the Bears win last night, and yet Vegas goes, nope, 10 points is the line we want to set. And so that gets me a little caught up because I thought the Bears captured something last night. Now, I did have a thought during that game. Is Justin Fields and are the Bears, are they just good in the rain? We saw week 1 against the 49ers, a good defense. They're in a monsoon. Last night in the mist and in the rain, they play well. Maybe they just play better when a defensive line is slipping around a little bit. There's not going to be any of that in Dallas, I can assure you. So with that the case, I do think this is a heavy run game. The Bears run the ball well. Montgomery, Herbert, and now you've seen Justin Fields is starting to use his legs even more and in a smarter way, I think. He's using them as a secondary to the passing game, but when he sees it, he takes it. And on the other side, Zeke is starting to emerge a little bit more like what we've seen in the past. Tony Pollard's a stud. I wish he was the clear RB1, but I still think they're easing Dak back in, so I don't expect the Cowboys passing game to all of a sudden be this kind of juggernaut. So I do like the under, and I want to get on that early in the week because I could see this line moving against me in that way. So if I buy the 1.5 and I'm getting under 44 right now, I feel really good about that. That said, Mike's point is right. These large spreads, they get me a little nervous. But now I have a few more pieces of evidence to suggest that taking the Bears, I'm gonna do what I always do, buy the 1.5. And if I get Bears plus 11.5, I guess I gotta live with that. I'll take Dallas on the money line. That'll be the clear cut bet. I'll put that into some parlays as kind of a base pick. But that said, the Bears at 11.5, riding high after a win last night. To my knowledge, they didn't have any serious injuries other than their center, but that happened early in the game, and I felt they got better as the game went along. Whether that remains the case, obviously the offensive line is going to be important against a good Dallas defense, but there are a lot of reasons for me to just think 11.5 feels like a pretty wide margin that I like in favor of the Bears. So that said, that's where I'm kind of leaning. Blease, Alex, Mike, or Matthew, any takes on this game?
I love Fields. And then
You're rugging, buddy.
Yeah, you're rugging hard.
Matthew, if you're able to join back in a few minutes, I'd love to hear your take on that game or any player props you're bringing up. But yeah, having a little tough time hearing you.
Yeah, I kind of said everything I need to say about this game, but yeah.
Great. Moving on. Go ahead, please.
I just want to throw it to Lope real quick. I know he came up. If he had something to say really quick, just want to give him a chance.
Lope, what you got for us? Lope, what you got for us?
I was gonna say the line is a little funky. I tend to stay away from bigger lines like that, and if the points go up, or like you said, but buying 1.5, that's when I would take the over.
Yeah, and I think I feel like this line goes down. That's something to think about.
Yeah,
but
it might be a better wait till Saturday or Sunday.
My whole thing is like if you're bullish on Chicago, you got some data to back that, you feel good putting money behind it. I think taking Chicago earlier in the week is the play.
Appreciate it, Lope. Appreciate it, Mike. We're going to move on to the next game. 3-4 New England Patriots travel to East Rutherford, New Jersey, to play the New York Jets. 5-2. Where I saw this game, New England was a 1-point favorite with the over/under set at 41 points. Some gambling trends for you before we break the game down. Home team is 10-4-1 against the spread in their last 15 meetings. I thought that stood out. The favorite is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings. The Jets are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. The under is 5-1 in the last 6 meetings in New York, and the under is 5-1 in the Jets' last 6 games following an against the spread win. Mike, what line movement are you seeing for this game?
So opened at 1.5. I still see it at 1.5. Across every single major book, same exact number. 85% of money right now is on New England. And that number hasn't moved. That number should have bumped up. That again, we'll kind of go back. I think this number should go a little bit higher. Maybe Vegas sees this as a spot where maybe the public's going to hit. That's something to think about. Obviously, I think it's pretty pretty clear here. We're kind of curious as to why this is only 1.5, or why it's a 1.5 in the favor of the Patriots. Is there an injury or something I don't know about?
There are a couple injuries to the Jets. Breece Hall is injured, and
right.
Vera Tucker is injured, their offensive lineman. So I think there are a couple of reasons in which people think the Jets are going to come back down to earth.
Now, I know Breece Hall's been really good, but like they got Michael Carter. They just traded for James Robinson. Like to me, that's kind of it's not going to be that big of a deal. Everybody's on the New England too. Like I love the Jets here, but like also, why is this number where it is?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's an interesting place where Vegas set this, and I'm surprised that the public is following Vegas. I'm with you. I think I was surprised the Jets weren't favored. The Jets are at home. The way they've been playing, everything else, you feel like this is other than the Bill Belichick factor, other than Bill Belichick against the Jets, you always like Bill Belichick. That's just not the case anymore, especially when there's a QB controversy in New England that's self-made. So to me, I like the Jets. I'm surprised that I'm able to get them on the money line right now. I'm surprised that I'm able to get them to cover. If I buy a 1.5 and get them at 2.5, like plus 2.5, I'm just shocked that I can get this right now. It's one of the things I'm definitely doing right now and taking advantage of a Tuesday early betting line that I feel at some point is just going to get recorrected and will work against me. I also like the under in this game. If I'm buying the 1.5 and I'm getting it up to 42.5, I just think this is going to be a game where both teams are running the football. I don't expect as much big passing play. I expect turnovers on both sides. I could see both teams throwing at least 2 interceptions. I think this is going to be a chaotic game, but this is one in which I'm surprised the Jets are once again this is that example of is Vegas setting us up with brands of old, the Patriots brand versus the Jets brand. Oh, of course I'm going to take the Patriots, but look at the data, strip away the logos, strip away the past history. The Jets should be favored in this game. I feel like it's definitely a bet you want to make.
Yeah, I will throw out a couple trends here. This one right here, the Jets are 0-10 in money line bets in their last 10 against New England. The Jets are 3-7 in spread bets in their last 10. So we do need to remember that Belichick has their number. Again, kind of tailing off what you said, is that the old, the old Bill Belichick, and they were a pretty decent team last year. Or do we just kind of stay in the moment and see what we've been seeing from the Patriots? They have been hot and cold too. It's like it's easy to be down on them after.
Well, what have their wins been? Their wins have been against the Steelers, Browns, and Lions, and two of those,
and they dominated. I know the Lions aren't great, but the Lions put up points. You know what I mean? Like they shut them out. Like that's what I'm saying. They're kind of hot and cold, and maybe their wins aren't the greatest, but I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, right? Just to kind of provoke some thought here. The trends are very interesting, though.
No, the Belichick mystique actually has a trend behind it, 2 trends as you provided, that just give you a little bit of reason to hesitate. That said, we're going to quickly move on to new games, another game. If anyone else has any takes on this, let me know now and shout it out. Great. We're going to move on to Arizona Cardinals, 3-4, traveling to Minnesota to play the 5-1 Vikings. Minnesota, where I see it, is a 4-point favorite. The over-under set at 49 points. Some gambling trends for you. The Cardinals are 4-9 against the spread versus a team with a winning record. The Vikings are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 following a bye week, which I thought was a staggering stat. That's 1-4 against the spread following a bye week. The Cardinals are 0-2 against the spread in their last 4 meetings in Minnesota, and the over is 6-1 in the Vikings' last 7 home games. Mike, what line movement are you seeing for this game?
Well, I saw it open at 6, and I'm seeing it at 3.5 now, and the money's almost split. has again. I'll ask the question again: is there an injury that's come up that I don't know about here?
On this one, I haven't heard anything. So unless we have someone from the audience who can provide some info, I was surprised to see this line movement as well.
Yeah. I just like Kirk Cousins at home against a defense that can be exposed. I mean, he's good at home. It's, you know what I mean? It's an early game, so his brain shouldn't be affected by any primetime whatever the hell gets into him, or even like spotlight type of game. He can just be in his comfort zone. I think this number goes up. I think this is Minnesota all day, 3.5 points. I'd like that number. You could buy it down like Butt Fumble will and just secure that hook. And I think that's a pretty nice looking bet right now.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Mike, because this is Kirk Cousins at 1 p.m. in Minnesota. Everything about that from a trend standpoint, from a historical standpoint, just tells me that this is going to be a good play for the Minnesota Vikings. I certainly like them on the money line. When it comes to betting this on the spread, I'm going to buy the 1.5 now. Where I saw it, it was at 4 points. So I'm getting Minnesota at -2.5. And I am considering the under right now. But that said, I could see that changing over the course of the next couple of days. And I certainly think an anytime touchdown for Justin Jefferson and for DeAndre Hopkins are definitely in the mix. Matthew, I saw that you opened up. You got any takes on this game?
Yeah, so as you guys know, Vikings fan here. I'm definitely not biased towards my team. I'm very hesitant to bet them most of the time. That said, the Mike Zimmer era is over. So the bye week trend, I would kind of throw that out the window. I think O'Connell has this offense humming. Like at home, you guys have said it, they're a really good team. So I think they're going to put up points. And this is kind of a spot where historically the Vikings would probably drop a game for no good reason. But they're 5-1 this year. They're playing well. So I'm hoping for a good cover. And yeah, I'm also going to buy it down to probably 2 points. Get it now, because if that goes back up to 6 and I have it at 2, I'll be pretty happy.
Love the thinking, Matthew. Thank you for jumping in. Lope, did you have any takes on this game?
Really like the Vikings too at home, coming off a bye, and then they also have one of the loudest stadiums. So Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury got to be on the same page.
Yeah. And really quick on the total, opened at 47. It's sitting at 49. Money's on the over, so that's right. I don't necessarily know if you might get another half point out of this here, but I'm not super convinced that this total number is going to be going down a whole lot. Personally, I like the over. I think that you're going to see points in this game.
Let's move to the Las Vegas Raiders, 2-4, going to New Orleans to play the 2-5 Saints. Where I saw this game, the Raiders are a 2-point favorite. Over under set at 48.5 points. Some gambling trends for you before we get to line movement. The Raiders are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games in October. The Saints are 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 games overall. The over is 4-0 in the Raiders' last 4 games overall, and the over is 4-0 in the Saints' last 4 games overall. Mike, have you seen line movement on Raiders Saints?
1.5 to 2 now. Money's almost dead split. It's nothing weird there. I feel like the Raiders have found something. They played a pretty tough game for the most part in Kansas City. That was promising, and then they did their job on Sunday this past week. I like the Raiders here. I will say that New Orleans has beaten me up this year. Full disclosure, I don't believe in them, and they have covered on me and killed a couple bets for me. So, just to be transparent, I have been a little bit, unbiased towards New Orleans, but I do like Vegas here. I think that just a feeling. I feel like this could bump up a half to a point towards Vegas. That's yeah. I like Vegas here, especially under 3.
So it's interesting. The Saints have kind of been your Achilles heel. Unfortunately, the Raiders were mine early on in the season. I had them getting off to a better start. So I've been a little hesitant to get back on the Raiders bandwagon. That said, I do like the Raiders in this game. I do think post bye week, they're hopefully turning a corner, learning Josh McDaniel's system a little bit better. One player I like off the waiver wire, if you guys are looking for fantasy plays, is Mac Hollins. He just continues to have chemistry with Derek Carr. So if you need a wide receiver, someone to consider to add some depth to your fantasy football team. That said, for betting this game, I do like Vegas to cover 2 points. I like them by a field goal. So as long as that line stays in favor, I'm not going to buy the 1.5. Shocker, I know that Butt Fumble Sports has given up the 1.5. That said, I will buy the 1.5 when it comes to the over-under. I do like the over on this game. These are two offenses that are going to just pull a rabbit out of a hat. They're going to have a lot of deep passes to Devontae Adams. They're going to have deep passes to Hollins. They're going to be throwing all over the field. Josh Jacobs can break a couple big runs for the Raiders. And meanwhile, for the Saints, Taysom Hill, just coming out of nowhere and once again providing a lot of offense. The guy has scored 7 touchdowns in total, 1 throwing, 1 receiving, 5 rushing. So I just expect points in this game. I also could see the Saints, whoever they put at quarterback, throwing a pick 6. So if you want to have some fun and put half a unit on a defensive touchdown like I did last Thursday and actually cashed on that, that was a fun ticket to be able to cash. Something to consider for this week. But when it comes to the betting for this game, I like the over. I like Vegas -2. You just got Mike's take.
Yeah. Just really
go ahead, Mike.
Really quick. I just want to on the total. Okay. It opened at 46.5. It's at 49.5. That's 3 points. There's only 65% of the money on the over, right? That's a lot of movement there. And it kind of just made me realize too, like we're seeing some higher numbers. Vegas got hammered on unders at the beginning of the year. I think you're starting to see some more overs. Some of these over-under totals kind of look like bait. It's like they're just baiting people to take unders when they know they're going over. But that being said, I do like the over in this game just in general. But that is a lot of movement. 3 points for not such a huge amount of money on that side. So
Matthew Lope, got anything for this game?
In agreement, like the Raiders -2 and the over.
All right, then we're going to move along, and we are going to cover the last game of the Sunday slate. The Steelers at the Eagles. Steelers 2-5, Eagles 6-0. I'm seeing this as a 10-point spread in favor of the Eagles. The over-under set at 44 points. The home team 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings between the two teams. The Eagles 5-1-1 against the spread in their last 7 home games. The under is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings between the two, and the over is 7-1 in the Eagles' last 8 home games. Mike, any line movement on Steelers Eagles?
9.5 to 10.5 up a point. There's a little bit of money on the Steelers, so that lines up. I will say on the total side, you've got it opened up at 43.5 and it stayed there, and there is 87% of money on the under. So I feel like that should have moved a little bit. Maybe they, maybe they're trying to throw a little bait at us here with that, but 10.5. I mean, yeah, Philly's good, right? Potentially the best team in the league. Like, Steelers are very underwhelming, but I like Pittsburgh on and 10.5 there. I feel like Pittsburgh is more competitive than that, especially if you're getting a hook earlier in the week. I see that going down at least to 10.
I'm totally in line with you. I'm going to take Pittsburgh on the cover on 11.5 after I buy the 1.5. As I said earlier about another game that had a big spread, with these, I'm just going to, if you're going to give me a touchdown and a field goal to cover, I'll buy the extra 1.5, and hell, I'll go for it. I'll only put one unit on it, or I'll pair it with some other parlays, or I'll do some other things. But the whole point is, I'm not putting my entire Sunday on it. But if you're going to give me that many points in the NFL, where usually it's a bit more competitive, I'm going to go with it, especially when it's not a juggernaut. If we're talking 07 Patriots, if we're talking the 2022 Bills right now, maybe I feel differently. But do I really think the Eagles are a team that are going to win by 12 points? Not really. I think they're going to be a great team. They could win by 10, but 12 points just seems like a lot. So I'm willing to play against that. I certainly like the Eagles on the money line. So they're minus 550 where I saw it. If you want to place that into some parlays as just another way of increasing your odds, I do like Philly on the money line for sure. The play I like the most in this game, though, is the over-under. I like the under. I want to buy the 1.5, get it up to 45.5 points, and I like the under. I just think that the way these two teams are going to have to play, I think the Tomlin and the Steelers know they have to run the ball. You may see some deep shots, but I think there are going to be a lot of turnovers. I think there are going to be interceptions. So even while both teams are collecting yards, I could see turnovers in which we don't get the points despite there being a lot of yardage. So right now I like the under. I'm curious to see where the over-under line ultimately plays throughout the week. And maybe if it moves, I play it differently on Sunday than I am today. But as of Tuesday, that's where I'm coming out.
I will say if you like the under, I would wait on this one just based off of line movement and where the money is. This number should go up, just based off of that. Right now, it looks like Vegas is trying to bait some money into the under right now, but that's strictly reading numbers.
Well, they're baiting me because I certainly like it. Lope,
Yeah,
do you have any take on this game?
Yeah.
Just like I said, I'm not a fan of huge spreads either, so it'd be something low like a half a U or just basically the Eagles money line. Eagles at home. It's tough, especially for a young quarterback.
Mike, anything else on this one?
No.
All right, then let's rock into the 4 p.m. slate window for Sunday. The 4-2 Tennessee Titans play the 1-4-1 Houston Texans. I'm seeing Tennessee as a 1.5 point favorite. The over/under set at 40.5 points. Gambling trends: Titans are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games overall, but the Titans are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 meetings in Houston. Texans are 4-1 against the spread versus a team with a winning record. The over is 10-1 in the last 11 meetings in Houston, and the over is 4-1 in the Texans' last 5 home games. I'm actually going to jump on this game before we get to line movement with Mike, because I saw that one trend and it really stood out to me. Titans 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 meetings in Houston. I don't know if that's a Houston Oilers kind of voodoo kind of thing, but there's something about that stands out to me. Last week, I saw a similar trend between the Jaguars and the Giants, that the Giants had never covered a spread in going to Jacksonville. It stood out to me. I took the cover for the Giants. It worked out, but that spread, it was just a trend that stood out. It's something that's been on my mind. It's one of the reasons I think this opened at 1.5. I think Vegas knows something that we don't here. So there's a part of me that's a little hesitant on this game. Mike, what do you see in terms of line movement?
So I see that the Titans opened up at 3.5. 3.5 to 2. Essentially, there's a little bit of extra money right now in Houston, but essentially it's pretty split. It's gone down. That makes me think that they're really wanting to see some money go on on Houston here. So I'm a Titans fan, right? Lifelong, since they were the Oilers. I've watched these games, these Houston, Tennessee games in Houston all the time. They are miserable as a Titans fan. For whatever reason, the Titans can only squeeze out close victories or lose outright. I hate this game. I will stay a mile away from this game because Titans are either going to win by 30 or lose by 30. And I know it's close, and yeah, I'm a little bit emo right now, full disclosure, but I am staying away from this game just based off of what I've seen in the past. Houston is, they're tough. They're not winning games, but they're tough, and it's AFC South, it's interdivisional. I know the Colts haven't shown a whole lot in these Titans matchups, but I could definitely see Houston winning this outright. I don't see any reason why that's not a possibility. But total wise, opened at 41. It's at 40.5, and 96% of the money is on the under. That should go down. This might be a good spot to take the under early in the week if you're inclined to do that.
It's interesting, Mike. I'm totally with you on understanding the hesitation as a Titans fan betting against this. I brought up that trend a moment ago. I don't feel great about this game in terms of picking a winner or picking the spread. If I had to, if someone forced me to it, I would take Tennessee money line, but I really want to take Houston to cover. I just don't like it at 1.5 either way. So for me, I'm not really touching that. I'm going to wait to see how the public money comes down, play it throughout the week. But the over-under is something I do like. I like the over. There are two trends that I mentioned that had the over. Over is 10-1 in the last 11 meetings in Houston between the Titans and Texans, and the over is 4-1 in the Texans' last 5 home games. So I actually like the over. I like the over now. I like the over if it moves even lower. So the over is the play for me because I actually think we've seen from the Texans, they can open up the offense a little bit. I think with the Titans, the real question is, does Derrick Henry break a few runs, or is it more of a slog? But in either case, I actually like the over. I think both teams get us to over 40 points. So if I'm getting that right now at 40.5 and I buy it down, get it to 39, or if that continues to work in my favor lower, I certainly like it. We're going to keep moving along because we're running out of time. I usually try to keep this to an hour. We're definitely going to go way over that now. But let's keep going on the 4 o'clock games. Let's shift over to the Giants and the Seahawks in that game. Right now, I'm seeing that game as 3 points in favor of the Seattle Seahawks. The over-under, as I'm seeing it, is 45 points. Gambling trends for you. The Giants are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. The road team is 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 meetings between the Giants and Seahawks. The under is 8-2-2 in the Giants' last 12 versus NFC. And the over is 4-1 in the Seahawks' last 5 games overall. Mike, are you seeing any line movement?
Nothing out of the ordinary. 2.5 to 3. So that can be significant as far as a hook, but as far as where the money's going and how that's moved, there's nothing out of place there. Over under 45.5. What did we open at? 46.5. So that's reversed. That should have gone the other way. That's something to think about. I think, that's showing me Vegas likes the under here. I like Seattle in this game. I think the Giants going to the Pacific Northwest in that stadium. I know the Seahawks aren't the Seahawks of old, but those fans still show up. It's still going to be obnoxious in there. And I think, when you get these teams that are hot, that are winning a lot, and when you're betting, you want to try, like, if you can, you kind of want to try to time the top here, right? Like, I think this could be kind of a mini top here. 6-1 for this Giants team. They have played well, but I think that I think that we may have kind of seen like a little bit of a top here. I really like Seattle here.
So we feel differently. I like the Giants to cover. I'm going to buy the 1.5 and get Giants plus 4.5. I do like Seattle a lot. I really like Kenneth Walker the third. I love him in fantasy. Think he, player props. The Giants don't have a good defense against the run, but the Seahawks don't have a good defense against the run either. So I could see Saquon Barkley and Kenneth Walker the third just having breakout games, putting up big player prop numbers. But when it comes to the spread, I think the Giants are in a belief mode right now that Vegas hates them and America doubts them. And I think that's playing into what Brian Daboll is spinning their way. I think Mike brought up a great point, though. There's a lot of travel that goes into from New York down to Jacksonville, back to New York, then to Seattle in a 7-day span of time. That's just not a lot of time to get your body adjusted, to go through all that travel. Just think about it in your day-to-day lives. Imagine playing a football game and practicing all around that. So I do think there's going to be a bit of wear and tear, but I like where the Giants are right now, in part because I like what I'm seeing from Daniel Jones. Fewer turnovers, more running, more using his legs, just making smarter decisions, staying within himself. I thought that game against the Jaguars could have been a loss. It almost was at the end. They really only won by a single yard, maybe two. But that said, I like what the Giants are doing right now, so I do like the Giants to cover. I think Mike brings up some good points on the Seahawks, and I am considering them as a money line play. But for now, I am playing the Giants. Lope, do you have anything real quick on this game?
I was just gonna say I'm with you on the Giants over the Seahawks. I don't quite believe in that. I think Brian Daboll's in contention for Coach of the Year, and they've been really good in the second halves too. So even if they get off to a slow start, they'll be fine.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm glad that we disagree on something finally. I was getting a little bit concerned.
I mean, it's about time, and yet I think one of the reasons we agree so much, Mike, is we're not playing reactionary. We're following a lot of the stats and trends behind these matchups. And if you're following those things, you're going to come out to some of the same conclusions. So we're not doing this because we both played for the Steelers, or we both like certain teams, or we both have a cousin that lives in the state where that team plays. The reasons we're giving you some of these consensus picks is because we're putting in the research, and that explains it. Moving to another game in the 4 p.m. window, the 3-4 San Francisco 49ers play the 3-4 Los Angeles Rams. San Francisco is a 1.5 favorite. Where I see it, the over-under is 42 points. Some gambling trends for you. The 49ers are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 versus the NFC. The 49ers are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 meetings in Los Angeles. The Rams are 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games overall. The under is 5-1 in the last 5 meetings between the 49ers and Rams, and the under is 4-0 in the Rams' last 4 games against the NFC West. Mike, do you have any line movement on this game?
We went from 2.5 to 1.5 with 90% of the money on San Francisco, so that lines up. As far as the total, we went from 41 to 43.5 with 65% on the under. So it might be a little, 2.5 points is kind of a lot, but the money is on the under. Nothing too alarming there. Just the game in general. I always like Shanahan against McVay. For whatever reason, he's just, he's got him in a pretty nice chokehold, other than last year in the NFC Championship game. I like San Francisco here on the road. Even I don't think it really matters for me in this matchup. 1.5, like right now, I think this number will probably stay the same. If you want to take it to a pick 'em, and take the Niners if you like the Niners, I think that's a safer bet. But I actually do like the Niners in this spot here.
I'm with you, Mike. I really like the 49ers on the money line. I like them at -1.5. So I'm not going to buy any points, and I'm not going to take money line. I'll just take them to cover. Like that bet. to Mike's point, Shanahan has a history of beating McVay other than that one playoff game. And now he's had a whole week to get his adjustment to McCaffrey and everything else. So I think the offense is going to be more dynamic for the 49ers. And I love their defense. I know they just got blown out by Patrick Mahomes, but that's Patrick Mahomes. So they're going up against Matt Stafford. One of my favorite player prop bets week after week. Wasn't able to do it last week because the Rams were on a bye. But what is it, folks? It's Matthew Stafford over half an interception. Those are the bets we like. We like Jared Goff throwing a pick every week, and we like Matt Stafford throwing a pick every week. When it comes to a player prop, shout out Bet3. It's one of the better bets you can make. I do like the under for this game. I think that the defenses are going to show out a bit more than the offenses. So I want to buy the 1.5, get it up to 43.5, and buy the under. I think this game's just not going to have nearly as many big plays as we think. Cooper Kupp is going to be the target that Matthew Stafford goes to. He's going to get double coverage throughout the game. You're killing me. You're killing me, Lope, on opening your mic and then make it sounds. But that said, I love right now the 49ers to cover, and I like the under in this play. Mike, if you have a quick pick, or otherwise we're going to move on to our next game.
No, just I agree with you pretty much across the board here. Niners under. Yeah.
Lope, do you have a take on this game?
Let's move on.
Okay. That said, we're going to go to our next game, which is Washington, led by Taylor Heineke, versus the Indianapolis Colts, led by Sam Ellinger. What a duel of amazing quarterbacks. The Commanders 3-4, the Colts 3-1. I'm seeing the Colts as a 3-point favorite. The over-under sit at 39.5 points. Some gambling trends for you. Commanders are 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 meetings following an against the spread win. The Commanders are 0-3-1 against the spread in their last 4 meetings. The home team is 3-1-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings. The under is 11-1 in the Colts' last 12 games overall, and the over is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings between the Commanders and the Colts. Mike, do you have any line movement on this game?
Opened at 5.5, went to 3 with just a little bit of money, a little bit more money on Washington right now. That's a lot of movement. That's definitely a lot of movement early in the week here. Over under here, 97% on the under. It's gone down 0.5 point. Again, that's not enough for that much money. I like the Commanders here. 3 points. I just think the Colts are just hitting the reset button here, like mid-season. Even in Indy, and maybe Ellinger brings something to him. I don't know. Sometimes when you get these new quarterbacks in, it makes me like want to stay away from it and see how the team rallies around him. But on the, just the way I feel on this, based off of that, reverse line movement, in a way, I like Washington here.
Mike, you're hitting it once again. I like Washington to cover. I'm going to buy the 1.5, get it at 4.5 right now. But I trust Taylor Heineke more than Sam Ellinger. I think Ellinger could actually be a decent replacement for Matt Ryan. I liked him at the University of Texas. The kid's got a big arm. He can take a hit. And these receivers need someone who's just going to chuck the ball up there. So I actually like Ellinger. I think this could be a really fun game to watch because it is kind of a bizarre matchup of backups. But that said, I just trust Taylor Heineke more. I'm going to buy the 1.5, take them to cover. I am considering Indianapolis on the money line. I do think you see a more conservative game from Frank Reich in terms of play calling. I think that plays in favor of the Colts, maybe on a money line, maybe at home. Part of me really wants to take the over. Again, I think this could be a shootout between quarterbacks. But a lot of what you're hearing from my picks is I'm considering, or I'm thinking, or I feel, or there's not as much conviction in this game. So to our conversation earlier, I'm putting fewer units on this game. I'm probably just going to watch it and enjoy it on Red Zone. But I'd be careful because, to Mike's point, we just have less data, less evidence, less reason to really be confident in the pick we're making. So it's just one of the reasons I'm kind of staying away for the moment.
Yeah, and I will say I would expect this number to go up. Towards Indianapolis. I think this ends up being 3.5 or 4. So I think, if you like Washington, I think you take it now.
Love that. And we will move on to the next game, which is the Sunday night football game between the Bills and the Packers. The Packers coming off just an ugly loss once again to the Commanders. And meanwhile, the Bills were on a bye week. Packers 3-4, Bills 5-1. I'm seeing Buffalo as an 11-point favorite. Yikes. Over under set at 47.5 points. Packers are 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 road games. The home team is 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 meetings. The Bills are 5-0-1 against the spread in their last 6 home games. The under is 5-0 in the last 5 meetings between the Packers and Bills, and the under is 4-0 in the Bills' last 4 games overall. What are you seeing, Mike?
Opened at 8.5. This is one that I want to pay attention to. It opened at 8.5. 80% of the money is on Green Bay, and it moved up 2 points. That's big reverse line movement there, like big. So I think the value play, right now is on Green Bay. That's not rocket science if you're just looking at it in terms of how big that number is, but just in terms of the numbers here, there's big value on Green Bay here. I think that number has to go down. If the Bills, I don't know. I'll be honest. I like the Bills to cover this number, but the value is on that 10.5 right now because that number is going to change. I like Buffalo here. That they are just baiting people into taking Green Bay here. This is a big bait number, especially if it stays this way. If the money stays this high, like this might be a hammer Buffalo game, even at that number. Like again, I'm throwing out team names. I'm throwing out the fact that it is a big spread. I'm looking strictly here on reverse line movement. That's heavy. This is one that if I'm going to stick to my guns here and play the numbers, I'm going to take Buffalo, and I might throw a couple units on it.
Buffalo money line. Okay, fine. You're going to do that, and it's minus 575. So take that for what it is. For a shout out, bet 3. If I like a player prop, Gabe Davis, anytime touchdown. I feel like he could have that in the first quarter. Man, you're telling me I can get Aaron Rodgers at plus 12.5?
Don't do it again,
I
buddy.
know, right? And this is the problem. This is where my follow the trends and play the quant game and play Vegas's game. I deviate from it, and you gotta prevent me, and that's why I appreciate Mike shouting it out, because to that point, I just saw the Packers look bad. Not last week, not the week before, but the week before that. I mean, it's been literally a month since I've seen the Packers play a good football game, and I don't even know if that was even a good football game. So at this point, I gotta know what I'm seeing. So to that idea, maybe what I'm doing is buying a 1.5, getting this under 10 points, and taking the Bills to win by 10 points. Maybe I feel more confident about that than I do about Green Bay at plus 12.5. I'm going to wait to see how the public money comes out. But, Mike, you're going to have to talk reason into me, or otherwise I'm going to fight it.
This is what I'll say here, just to play both sides of this. If you like Green Bay, to me, this is the time to take the number, right? Buy your 1.5, take Green Bay, and take 12. This number should go down, okay? The Buffalo bet that I only like it if it stays like this. Okay, like if it stays at 10.5 and this percentage of money stays at this number, this is a hammer it on Sunday bet. If you like Green Bay, you take it now.
Mike is so right. I totally agree. I'm going to take Green Bay now on a couple of bets. I'm gonna put in a couple of locks, 4 or 5 games in which I feel really confident about, and then I'm also going to sprinkle this in just as a play it out game, as something that if it cashes, great, but it's not where I'm putting a majority of my money or my concentrated bets on. But this is a game in which I go, man, Aaron Rodgers by plus 12.5, fine. On Tuesday, go with it. But on Sunday, I'm gonna take the Bills to cover. Mike's right. I'm gonna take the Bills to cover by 10 points or less. That's the better play. That's really where I'm going to end up. But really, this game is just going to become an over/under play for me, or a prop bet play for me. I think this is a game that's hyped on Sunday Night Football, but for a lot of reasons, I think this could be a wet fart.
Yeah, and I think this falls into your take both sides of it, right? You take Green Bay now at 12.5. And then you take Buffalo at 7.5.
That's right.
Sunday right there, and they win by 10. You cash both, and you move on.
That's exactly right. And to Mike's point, that's why we bet these games on Tuesday. We have the space on Tuesday. And then we also have paper handicappers on Sunday morning. How you think about games, how you bet them should not be the same on both days. New information comes out, line movement. You want to play against Vegas, not just against the information that you have about player injuries or the like. So this is why we play both games. And finally, we're going to cap out the show for this week by talking about the Monday Night Football game. The 4-3 Cincinnati Bengals play the 2-5 Cleveland Browns. I'm seeing Cincinnati as a 3.5-point favorite. The over/under set at 47.5 points. Gambling trends for you: Bengals are 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 road games. The Browns are 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 Monday night games. The Bengals are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 meetings in Cleveland. The under is 6-2-1 in the last 9 meetings in Cleveland, and the under is 4-1 in the Browns' last 5 Monday night games. Mike, what line movement are you seeing?
2.5 open, 3.5 current. 90% of the money is on Cincinnati, so that does line up pretty well there. I will say, though, on the total, opened at 47. It's still at 47 with 94% on the under. They want you to take the under as of right now. I think that this under number should go up. This total should go up here. So if you like the over, take it now. If you like the over, take it now. I like the Bengals here. I think they're starting to, realize who they are. Cleveland's respectable. They'll play close games. It is a divisional game. I don't like 3.5. I think this is the prime spot to buy those points and get it under that hook, under 3, and take Cincinnati. This is one, though. The only thing I would be doing right now is taking the over. If you like the over, this is the spot to take it. It should go down.
Mike, you're speaking Butt Fumble Sports kind of language, because we like Cincinnati on the money line and we like them to cover, but not at 3.5. Don't like that at all. I want that to be under 3 points. So if you want to buy 1 point, or you want to buy the 1.5 like I will, get that to 2.5, get that to 2 points. I like Cincinnati to win by 2 points, 3 points. That's where we're starting to get towards that push territory. I do like the under in this game. Those gambling trends that I mentioned before, that kind of got me thinking these two teams in their past meetings in Cleveland, the under is hit. And Monday Night Football games for the Browns, the under has been popular. I think the Browns just run the football. They burn clock. That plays to the under. And obviously Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're going to hit some big plays. But I do think Zach Taylor has a tendency to call too many run plays with Joe Mixon. I think that's going to happen. I like the under on this game, but I certainly like Cincinnati on the money line. Unless, Mike, do you have any other comments for this one?
No, I'm good.
Well, with that said, appreciate you all being a part of the NFL Week 8 preview, early betting lines, talking a little fantasy, some player props. Matthew, Adam, Tommy, Mike, Blease, shout out to Lope, shout out to Alex, all the people that joined tonight's space. If you want to find tonight's space in its entirety, you can find it on Twitter in the audio record, or you can go to YouTube. We post the entire show I've actually been walking around in our spatial studio, our metaverse studio, with graphics behind me brought to you by Bleece. So you have all the gambling trends, the notes, everything you need with my avatar standing in front of it. Check it out. Give it a view if you missed any part of the show. But we thank you for joining us. Good luck in your bets this week. And if you have any questions, comments, at Sports Fumble on Twitter, at Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok and on Instagram.
Yep, and check out those tweets at the top since it's waiver wire tonight. You put out a lot of fantasy content as well and a lot of fantasy videos. So just want to get eyes on those as well if you have any questions, because I know we hit a lot of the sports betting, but you do provide a lot of fantasy advice. So just want to let people know about that. And yes, you are bringing sports talk into the metaverse. So definitely check out the metaverse spot, which is in your link is in your bio.
Appreciate you, Bleece. Mike, appreciate you.